Good afternoon and welcome. 3:34. And we have a Thursday edition of our program live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio. And from Kingdom Financial Group, let's welcome in our guests here. To my left is Aaron Collins. Welcome, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And we've got Brent Benedict, also from Kingdom Financial Group. How are you, Brent?
I'm doing great, Joel. It's fun to actually be able to do this in person. I've done it over the phone a handful of times, but fun to actually be on site.
So you guys, I have a monthly conversation with Ben Ryder usually, and, he's out gallivanting somewhere. Who knows where he is. But this gives us a great opportunity to get to know you two and also kind of maybe steer our conversation about finance to some younger folks, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not that
Ben doesn't qualify, right?
Ben, yeah, he's kind of an old-timer. He's quite a bit younger than me, but all right, let's start with some origin stories with you, Brent. How did you come up? Where'd you go to school? And what got you interested in money and finance?
Yeah, so I grew up in Corey, not too far from here, just down the road. Spent a couple different places, ended up finishing college at Gannon here. And
what was your degree?
Business management and marketing.
Okay.
So kind of in the realm. I had a couple of financial advising courses throughout that time. And then I actually was working on a homework assignment one time, and I had a connection at Kingdom Financial Group, gave him a call and said, hey, I got a question on this homework. Could you help me out? It was during one of my summer classes, and he helped me out with it, and then gave me a call 10 or 15 minutes later and said, hey, we're looking for a summer intern. You you want a job? And I was like, yeah, I don't got anything else going on right now. And so I ended up spending the summer there, and Ben was in the process of buying the business at that point, and so he ended up taking me to lunch and asking if I wanted to come back and work at Kingdom Financial Group full-time when I graduated. So sometimes it's about who you know and not necessarily what you know. Definitely learned a lot in the first couple years there, getting my feet wet, because my major wasn't totally focused on personal financial planning, but had enough kind of, ancillary experience to be able to pull things together.
I mean, are there actual college degrees that are all about personal financial planning like that?
Yeah, they're
okay.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you'll hear a little more about it with Aaron's story here, but Penn West is a great example of it, actually.
Okay.
That's where Aaron graduated, not to steal all his thunder, but he came out fully ready to start working with clients, and didn't have to hop some of the hurdles that I did in the first couple of years of getting going in the business.
Well, let's go to Aaron here. Tell us about how you came up. You're local.
Born and raised in Erie. Decided to stay here. I'm happy I'm here. I love it in Erie. And I was at a few different colleges as well. I played some college basketball, so kind of bounced around when you're playing college sports. But I finished up at Edinboro with a degree in finance and personal financial planning. So to answer that question, and it was very helpful. I was able to pass some of the exams I would need to pass to actually be licensed as the financial advisor. And then they also had a CFP course built into the college curriculum. So when I graduated, I was already eligible to sit for the CFP exam. And so that gave me a huge leg up. I'm still not a CFP. I've got to wait the 2 years to have the experience requirement. But that's coming up not too far down the line. So
yeah, it's coming along, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. I was going to mention, that's one of those things that you both have in common, though, is that you're both athletes.
Yeah.
So you played college ball, D2 ball, right? I mean, wow, for Edinboro.
Yep.
Fantastic. And explain the sport you were involved in, Brent.
Yeah, so I was a swimmer growing up.
Yeah.
Young age of 8, grew up, and spent 2 years down in Virginia Tech. Got to do some fun stuff down there. I got to try out for the Olympic team at one point, so that was a really cool experience. And then took a year off and tried to decide what I wanted to do with my life. And, college sports were a little bit different back then, even just 5 years ago, but there was a clock as to how long you could actually compete. And so as that was kind of ticking down, I decided to use my last couple years of eligibility to help hopefully pay for a little bit of college and get a degree. And then if I used it, great. And if I didn't have to pay a whole lot for it. So ended up going to Gannon and having a good career there as well.
Fantastic. You swam for Gannon as well?
Yep, swam for Gannon.
Okay.
Actually just got inducted into the Hall of Fame a couple of months ago.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, thank you.
That's amazing. Well, let me key off of this sports thing, because I think there's some takeaways from being involved in athletics and just an approach to life. And so
Absolutely.
when you think about the kind of work you had to put in, the kind of how you had to conduct your life in order to be at peak performance for those games in basketball. Talk about, how did you have to structure your life for that?
Yeah. Honestly, starting probably in 7th grade up until my junior year of college, I was, basically like full-time basketball. Like I was doing school and all of that, but a ton of training, hours a day, workouts on the basketball court, workouts in the weight room, workouts on the track and field, mental training, all types of just discipline and regimented living. And so yeah, you're very right when you say that kind of translates into finances and really all of life. That's one thing that I love. I've been blessed to have always had to have discipline. I'm not the most athletic guy. I'm not the tallest guy, so I've always had to be very skilled and put in all the hard work. And so it's really translated over to my job as a financial advisor. I spend a lot of time doing what I need to do, trying to stay disciplined, trying to work myself to get ahead and be the best that I can be for the clients that I have and am growing to continue to have. So, yeah, definitely a lot of overlap there. And when it comes to investing, which we'll probably talk about a little bit, discipline is huge and consistency is huge. That's more important than, market timing or picking individual stocks or anything like that. It's about sticking with your approach for the long term, staying disciplined, staying in, sticking to your strategy. So, yeah, definitely a lot of overlap.
You think about your high school teachers and your college professors. They didn't really care that you were in the pool at the drop of dawn, right? To get your hour or two in laps in the morning.
Yeah.
Did they?
No, not too much.
They still wanted that paper handed in on time.
Yeah, and that doesn't really change all the way from high school up through college. Some teachers, it's like everywhere else. Some give you a little bit of flexibility and some don't give you quite as much. And I tried to give a little bit of grace because I know that not every athlete some would try to take advantage and, use their position. So I tried to give grace and try to understand when maybe they've had a bad experience with athletes in the past and try to change that for them working with me and having an experience with me. Like Aaron said, very similar to financial advisors, actually. It just takes one really bad experience to really kind of make you pretty gun shy of going in and talking with anybody ever again.
But there is a counterintuitive argument about athletics that, it sucks up a lot of time. So it forces this person that is trying to achieve their dreams to really get their act together, to get it all done. And at least with my kids, when they were out of season and the pressure was off a little bit, that's actually when they were worse in school. Maybe they blew off an assignment or something like that. They were much better students when the pressure was on, huh?
My mom always told me, so after the swim season would be over, she'd give me a couple weeks, and then after that, she said I needed to find something to do. I don't know if it's just because of all the energy I had pent up, but, start causing a little more problems than usual. Like you said, start blowing off stuff at school. It's hard when you go from having that regimented schedule and that discipline to kind of having the guardrails taken off. And so it's important to kind of stick to some kind of a plan whether it's really strict or you let the reins a little loose for a period. Important to stick to some kind of structure.
Aaron, go ahead. Bud.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on what he said and the question that you asked, because I think that's very interesting and true. Because a lot of times with athletics, there's the part that you put in, then there's the part that's required from you, from your coach and all the training, especially when you get into the collegiate level. You have all of your classes in school, and then you also are basically forced to come to practice and watch film and go to all the games and different things like that. So I think one cool aspect of that is that you're able to see what you're capable of when you have all of these demands. And I think the key that I've had to, learn and practice is, can I still, be just as effective with the time that is now freed up, where I don't have that 25 to 30 hours a week in basketball? How can I use that extra time and be just as effective, even though there's no one forcing me to do it, which is a little harder because you have to be disciplined.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just wanted to point that out.
Let's talk about first jobs. What was your first job, Aaron?
Wow. First job. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, my first job was working as a janitor at Community Country Day School.
Okay, so you worked for your folks.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I think that was my first job.
And they paid you, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Where did, did you spend all the money? Did you save I remember when my kids were really little, they had a bank that had 3 slots. One for spending, one for saving, and one for the Lord. Tithing.
Right.
Do you remember? What? Did you buy some sneakers with your win? Or
surprisingly, I have always been a saver, so I kind of landed in the right spot. My wife has actually loosened me up a bit. I don't like spending money. She'll tell you that. But yeah, I was always taught at a young age to give the first fruits to God. And so that's something that I still do. I definitely love saving, and I have always, whenever when I was younger and I made money, I would just set it aside and be put it there for something. I didn't know what it was for.
You can't always live on a card table and folding chairs. You might need to have a kitchen table, to eat off of.
Right.
How about you? First job, Brent?
The first job that I actually got paid for, worked for parents growing up and that kind of fun stuff, but I was teaching swim lessons and lifeguarding at the Quarry Y. So,
nice.
Kind of a natural fit. I was already there a lot anyways, and so real natural fit for me to be there. And I was not as good about saving back in my day. Whatever I could find to spend that money on, basically. A lot of it...
you probably bought some sneakers with your money, too.
Yeah, sneakers. And a lot of people don't know, but swimming is pretty expensive, actually. So,
you could really spend some money on the right kind of gear.
Yeah. So, the suits that I would wear for major competitions were $300 to $350 a pop.
Moly.
So, tried to help out the parents a little bit with that when I would save the money and that kind of thing. A lot of money for gas in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Swimmers eat a lot, so a lot of buying food and kind of empty calories to feed the training. So money kind of burned a hole in my pocket when I was young a little bit.
We're talking to Aaron and Brent from Kingdom Financial Group. The idea of retirement and saving for retirement. Again, did you digest that yourselves before you became planners, or was that a learned thing? What do you think, Brent?
Yeah, definitely something that I have picked up a lot more as a planner. Being younger like ourselves, retirement's not really something that you think about seriously. I'd be lying if I said I didn't sit at my desk every once in a while and think about how nice it'd be to be retired.
Right.
But I know I've got a long ways until then. But budgeting into my income, setting money aside, knowing how powerful compound growth actually is for your ultimate retirement plan, really wasn't something that was impressed upon me very, very well until I was working here. I think that financial literacy is pretty grossly underrepresented in most education systems anymore.
Now they've actually, they made it part of the Department of Ed's requirements now to at least have one unit of financial literacy in high school, which
good.
has got to be a good improvement. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah. That'd be great. I hadn't even heard of that, but to talk a little bit about your question about like retirement planning and everything like that. Yeah, I would say the same as Brent. I definitely didn't just grow up thinking like, oh, I need to set this amount aside to be retired or whatever. Definitely something that was progressive. I learned about it through college and I'm continuing to learn more about it now. That it's not a set number, it's different for everybody. Everyone has different spending habits. Everyone has different giving habits. Everyone has different, financial benefits through their work. And so, more than anything, I'm learning that retirement is different for everybody. Some people, want to work less. Some people want to work just as much, but maybe not make money. It's not a one size fits all. And I'm enjoying, getting to work with people in their individual situations and solving puzzles, as I like to say.
Sure.
So, yeah.
The math is is indisputable though. If you start at that day after graduation or that first paycheck, and you start putting $25, $50 a week or whatever that would be, at 22. You're a millionaire at 65 if you keep it going and let the power of compounding interest grow. Talk a little bit about the math of it all.
Yeah, sure. So compounding growth really is like a snowball that you push down the hill. And for a little while, it takes a little bit to get any kind of speed. But then once you get a little bit of mass behind it, then you get a snowball that you can't stop. And so a great example of that, if you put in $5,000 into an account from the time you're 25 until you're 35, and then you don't put any more money in there for the rest of your lifetime, you've contributed $50,000. And then compare that to somebody that puts in $5,000 from the age of 35 to 65. If you both get the same 7% average annual return, the first person who put in $50,000 for 10 years will have $540,000 by the time they're 65. The person that started at 35 and contributed every year to 65 put in $150,000 and ends up with $504,000.
So actually less,
putting in 3 times as much.
Wow. That's incredible. So, but again, if you're one of those people that you're making $10-12 an hour, even that little bit, even that 5 or 10% can really go a long way, couldn't it?
Absolutely. And when you're living on a fixed budget, the bigger part of it, kind of like we talked about earlier, is getting that discipline early.
Yeah.
Taking a portion of it. The big thing, if you're able to, is get an employer match. If an employer is trying to match any kind of contributions, you really do want to try to find a way to make sure that you can at least get that match, because that's money that they're trying to give you. That's extra money they're trying to give you.
You should always max out the employer match, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, we're not supposed to give out, you need to always contact your financial advisor or tax planner or whatever. But this is like a slam dunk. If the employer is giving you free money, please go get it.
That's definitely one that's hard to argue against.
It's hard to, no one's going to give you, unless you, probably the only argument against that would be if you've got so many credit card bills that you just are overwhelmed and there is no other money. You got to attack the credit cards or whatever. Is that the number one holdback for most young investors is debt?
Yeah, I think that is a big hurdle that a lot of people struggle to get over, especially when they're starting their lives. Aaron and I were both fortunate to be able to have a sport that we would do in college and help pay for a part of that. But with society pushing, go to college, take out student loans, pay for it, some people are coming out of college with enough loans to buy a house. And so,
wow.
If you're coming out of school with basically a mortgage anyways, it makes it extremely difficult to get a car, get a house. And so those kinds of things like that required education that you mentioned, being implemented really teaches people how expensive an education actually is, and some different ways to help pay for it along the way, and what's the actual expense of buying a car. A lot of those things, people don't realize how much it actually costs by the time you factor in
for sure the insurance, the and all the things, the cost of maintenance and things. I've got to wrap this up, but let's talk about, again, if you are a young person and you're like, do I really need a financial plan this early? They could at least do a little investigation with guys like you, right? Yeah. Where do they need to call? What's the address and phone number?
Yeah, so we're located right on West 6th Street, 652 West 6th Street. And the phone number, I see it every morning when I'm calling everybody, is 814-836-5234. And you can give us a call. We offer free initial consultations, and we're able to take a look at where you're at now and talk about some different ideas and things that you could do moving forward to, drastically increase your financial
And again,
outlook.
if we're talking to a parent or grandparent, that young person that is about to enter the world or is already got started, this is the exact time to start having these conversations, isn't
Absolutely.
it?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Aaron, Brent, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you joining us here for this monthly Kingdom Financial Group moment. All righty, gentlemen, thanks so much.
Thank you.
You got
great,
it.
Joel.
It's 5 minutes in front of 4.